the Association of Corporate Affairs Managers of Banks issued a joint statement relating to it. And I think one of the banks also issued a statement when they were mentioned, when they were accused of hoarding cash in a particular state. And they came out to state clearly the reason behind the cash that was found in their location.
Vote. And what was the reason? What was the reason they gave?
Okay, right. There was this news about 6 million naira being found in the vault. Now, what they report, the video didn't say was that, number one, that video was in January. Number two, the currency that was found was in 200 naira notes. We all know that until now, the ATMs were only configured to dispense 1,000 naira and 500 naira notes, which means that every ATM in Nigeria has to be reconfigured to accept 200 naira notes. Now, at the time that video was taken, CBN had barred banks from paying across the counter, because if payments across the counter had been allowed at that time, that kind of money would have been dispensed. So, giving that kind of information just gives the impression that a bank or a location or a branch of an institution was withholding cash. The question that now comes to the mind, or to my own mind, and to the mind of other people that I spoke with, was that 6 million naira. Okay, let's even assume that a bank branch hoarded 6 million naira. Does it solve the problem? I don't think so. Because what is needed right now is in terms of billions. So 6 million naira for me is a drop in the ocean.
So, but then the accusations, we understand what you're saying now, but then quickly, let me just interrupt and ask this question, still in line with what you're saying. Many people, the CBN has said that, well, it released the monies to banks. That's what the CBN keeps saying now and then, that there are monies for banks. And in fact, the ICPC said it discovered over 258 million naira stand votes of a bank. It specifically mentioned the head office of the Sterling Bank. And when you see news like this, although you've given a revelation as to why one of the banks that was said to have money had the monies it had and why it was there, which is understandable from your explanation. But the fact that we're now hearing the Sterling Bank and people are now having the idea that many other banks are doing this, is there any further explanation as to why that could be happening, if it indeed is happening? Or is the CBN not giving enough cash to the banks? Currently having issues with bank apps, alerts, you can't get credit or debit alerts in time. How are we tackling these problems? Because if we do not get the cash in circulation, the next option would be to bank online. And then we're having these problems with online banking. Right.
Now, so what I was explaining earlier on is that there are three parties to an electronic transaction: the bank, the switches, and the telecommunications company. So if you're transferring money to me from your app to my app, you're going to use a network to connect to your app, right? And you're going to send it. Now, the moment you are able to get into your app, it means that your bank app is working. If for any reason you are unable to complete that transaction, it could be any party that could be the cause of it. It could be a disconnection at your own bank. It could be a disconnection of your own telecommunications service provider. It could be the switch, and it could be the receiving bank. So, I mean, we're online right now. We're talking. If this call drops right now, who do we blame? Do we blame your telco? Do we blame mine? Do we blame my phone? Do we blame yours?
The NCC.
We do not know where the problem.
The NCC says, well, it cannot be. We might have to speak to telecommunication companies. Telecommunication companies, on the other hand, will say, well, the NCC for these companies to be approved means they've passed certain standards that the NCC has placed for them and feel like they are fit to provide this service. And the NCC says it is not in their place to speak on, because I spoke with the PR for the NCC just a few days ago. I wanted him to be on the show as well, but well, he says he can't. But then explained to me that the NCC doesn't have too much to do because the MCC are certified. He said until banks complain or change service. So if a bank is using a certain network or a certain service for their transactions and then the network is having issues, they can either report to the NCC or they switch to a different one. And then if only when a complaint is made, the NCC can look into it. Is that something that should be thought about For instance,
I'm not.
a
No,
popular
let's get
bank
it right.
has its
Let's get
app
it straight.
completely down for a couple of days.
I'm sorry?
A particular bank had its app down for several days.
Yes. And when banks' apps are down, most banks will announce and tell you that they are experiencing challenges with their app. They will tell you. Ideally, that is the standard. Now, I'm not saying that the telcos are not up to standard. What I'm saying is that there has been an increase and there is pressure on the network. And once there's a pressure on the network, it affects the quality of what is going on. You mentioned something about not receiving alert. If I send you a text message and you do not receive it, it's not my fault. So your institution has sent a text message of an alert of a transaction that you are going to receive as a text message on your phone. It has nothing to do with the bank.
Exactly what the NCC says. Sorry to interrupt you, but the NCC also said that if you send a message, it means that for that message to leave your phone means that, well, the network is working, so it's your bank that's the problem. Exactly what the NCC operative told me. So now Nigerians are caught in the middle.
The instruction has been sent, and that was why I said and that's why I used the same analogy that if I send you a text message, just like your bank has sent you a text message, and you do not receive, are you going to blame me as an individual for not getting your text message? A text message that tells me on my phone has been sent. We see it happening regularly.
So you are agreeing to the fact that we do not have enough infrastructure to handle online banking yet? Did the CBN have a conversation with banks while it was trying to promote this online banking?
I do not believe there was any engagement with all stakeholders because that announcement came as a surprise to everybody.
All right. What's the way forward now? In less than 2 minutes, so we can let you go continue today.
Well, right now,
customers are still angry. People are still attacking banks. And the ATMs, can they be reconfigured? Are they being reconfigured?
No,
What's happening?
They have been reconfigured.
So what's the problem with the cash, and why can't we still get this cash, these new notes to Nigerians?
You are just reconfiguring to receive a lower denomination as well. Now, let me quickly tell you something. Even at that reconfiguration of 200 naira notes, let's go back to that 6 million naira issue. At that reconfiguration of 200 naira notes that you are asking banks to feed into their ATMs, what it means is that you have practically reduced the volume that your ATM can collect from 30 million to 6 million. So it would have even been better if CBN was shooting out more of the higher denominations, the 1,000 and the 500, because that increases the capacity of what ATMs can dispense. But now that they have allowed disbursement across the counter, what I will expect is that a lot of banks will be feeding the ATMs more with the 1,000 and 500 naira notes and paying the 200 naira notes across the counter. That is what I expect to be happening. We need to appeal to the public that attacking bank branches, attacking bank staff, is like cutting your nose to spite your face. We're the ones who are going to be hurt at the end of the day. Because if this attacks continue unabated, it means that banks are going to be put out of service, and that reduces the number of places that you even have access to cash. So we're inflicting pain on ourselves, not on the bank. We're inflicting it more on ourselves.
Allegations of bank staff selling the new notes. That's also something that's really interesting, because people say bank staff are selling the new notes to POS operators, who in turn are selling the new notes to Nigerians.
The allegations.
Yes, and
they remain allegations.
Does the association investigate such allegations, and how do you intend to address it if there's any truth in it, or does the association have a mechanism to monitor how these activities happen and how certain banks operate?
Well, I cannot, I cannot speak for every institution. But what I'm saying here is that everybody comes up with all forms of allegations. I mean, when I joined in online, I heard you talking about the things that go around on social media and so on and so forth, on WhatsApp, and messages going up and down all over the place. But it's difficult to be able to prove or accept or deny what exactly is going on. I'll give you an example. I saw a video flying around that bandits were displaying bundles of money that was received from banks. But nobody looked closely enough to see that currency was not, that video was not even shot in Nigeria. Nobody looked closely to see that those were not new notes. Nobody looked closely to see that that was not even Naira. But people believed immediately and started circulating it that the money that was meant for the public was already in the hands of bandits. Those are the kind of things that we need to start speaking against. And for me, if we cannot come out with clear and concrete proof of these allegations, then we should stop spreading these ones, because what it does for us is that we continue to incite people to do things that they shouldn't do.